Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Throwing out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. I was young, I was dumb, I was scrolling. Type way too much, hit send, heart swollen. Now I keep receipts like a lawyer with a folder. But anything risky get hit with the toner. Whole group chat, got tails, I ain't claim. If my name pop up, that's a typo, blame. Who's that in the pic, man, that ain't go strange. That's a random stranger with a very close face. Understanding my friends, I plead don't recall. If they ask for the tape, it's a missing file. If they pull up the clip, that's deep fake style. If they show me the proof, I just smile. Like redact this. Black ball from my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. If it hit too close, that's a rumor I heard. If the dateline match, that's a clerical error. If the outfit match, that's a popular shirt. If the tattoo match, that's a stock photo search. I'm allergic to question, coughing the light. I just edit the ending, soften the bite. Take the worst 3 parts of the night, then slice like fun was had and we were not. Every X got a chapter I seal. Every text got a gap in the reel. I ain't lying, I'm curating the reveal. Just trimming little bits of the raw, real deal. If you saw, you didn't. If you know, you didn't. If you talk, I'm clipping. If they ask, we glitching. Swipe that name out, crop that frame out. If it made me look foul, delete then fade out.
Left would love that to be true.
Redact this. Black ball from my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Redact this. Redact this.
Thank you. Thank you, CSL. I was talking and then the thing switched over, and that's I forget to do it because I'm having too much fun. That's what happens. I'm all right. I'll wait. I'll wait for the chat to catch up with me. So the point is, I'm dealing with so many things at the house. There's like a pile everywhere I look, and I feel like I work at a kennel, is what I said. And that's the issue. So everywhere we look, there is something obviously to attach concern to, perhaps. But the AI will take over and none of us will, humans will be without work and therefore without meaning. What will the stupids do if they don't have a factory to show up at and crank and fold a piece of metal and stick it in a widget that's sold to another person that can afford it when they can't? You know, if that all came to a halt, oh dear God, what shall we all do in this ridiculous Star Trek future? That where the only work that is done is meaningful. I know it's a terrifying future. And certainly it would take away everything we enjoy about this current struggle for work-wise. Anyways, that you can worry about that. The Iran war, which apparently, I don't know if you know this, but the entire MOU thing was complete horseshit. There was no ceasefire. Just like there's no ceasefire in Gaza, if you haven't noticed. And the Israelis just bombed part of Syria as a tangential attack on Turkey. Again, a NATO member, and a lot of people were freaking out about that. And again, blowing up assets is not the same as blowing up territory. That's the NATO wiggle room. If you put your shit in another country and somebody attacks it, that's not a violation of NATO where we all have to jump in and protect the shit you put in another country. So whatever, but don't let that stop people from panicking. I never would. You know, I'm a big fan of panic because I feel like people make the best decisions when they're panicked, when they're freaking out. I think we can all agree. We've all seen zombie movies. We've all seen the scene where everyone's really, once they're on their toes and afraid of every possible window and door, that's when they start making wise and caring decisions about their fellow human beings. And they don't tend to lock themselves in the basement and watch the windows get broken out while everyone else gets eaten. That doesn't happen. And then so that's obviously the Iranian sprawl, which apparently is taken care of according to a bunch of stupid people. The the DSA panic that is going through the right, that, oh my God, the Democrats are turning communist. We got the communists. Oh no, it's the communists. Not realizing, of course, that statistically speaking, if blue districts are getting bluer, if DSA candidates are doing well in blue districts and they're getting elected to those things, or winning primaries, that means there's a secondary sprawl that's happening into what would effectively be red districts, where a reasonable Democrat seems a lot more seems to be a better candidate to Republicans. That's the part that scares them. So they have to attach the fringe of the party to the vanguard of people that are pushing into the area and Tallaricoing their way into possibly taking a Senate seat in Texas. But we could obviously focus on all those things, or we could worry about the great burrito wars that are going on in Maggot Town. Now, we saw this a couple of weeks ago when I think this post started. And usually there's this kind of trickle that comes through the maggot messaging machine, if you will. And it takes a little while for the stuff to bubble up to where Fox News or News Hacks or one of the other ones feels like they have to jump on an issue because, oh shit, this is becoming real now. Like, what was a little social media bubble controversy has not gone away. And unfortunately for them, the whole burrito thing relates very well to the fact that Trump is tacoing all the time. So with the it's and then never mind the fact that we were going to have taco trucks on every corner or something like that from Hillary. It just brings back rough memories for the right wingers, as we well know. Burrito Gate is the title of this video from Fox Business. This is brand new in the last day. $20 burrito sparks, and you know why I noticed this video. Why this video caught my attention, showed up in my algorithm. Ego. That's why. $20 burrito sparks affordability debate. Now, does it spark an affordability debate amongst rank and file Democrats or our DSA brethren and sistren? Is it starting a debate amongst center left and even center right independents? No, at this point, those folks, there is no debate to be had. I would argue amongst rank and file Republicans at this point, the people that Donald Trump would deride as rhinos, there's no debate there either. So where's this debate about affordability taking place? Well, largely in the Trump apologist camp, where you'll recall affordability is a hoax and it was made up and it's a word that nobody's ever talked about before. It's like I don't know, groceries. Who uses words like that? Oh, we'll get to the $40 trillion in debt in a moment. And probably the single worst Treasury Secretary response to something like that since Hank Paulson. And news bits that deal with where the job market is and wages are, that are much closer to where they were in, if you'll recall, the last year of the Trump administration, the first time in 2020, when he actually had a giant pandemic that he could blame. There's no such thing now. The man is COVID 2020, COVID 25/26. Let's call it 26 just for the shit of it. Even though no, let's call it 25. It started last year, just like COVID-19, the year before. So COVID 25 is Donald Trump. His tariffs, his war of choice with Iran, his general dipshittery about distraction about gold leafing every fucking statue and ignoring the cattle in the country at being at the lowest number as you know in the herd since I think the 90s. So there you go. Anyways, hi, I'm sorry I was late. I'm sorry. It's good to see you. Hit the like, share the show, super chat, etc., etc. If you would, please. Thank you very much. But Forbes, conservative media fighting over $20 burrito and affordability, which is, of course, a hoax. MAGA's burrito brawl shows cracks in Trump's economy. Salon. And then the meaning of the $20 burrito that's tearing MAGA apart. Okay, so Fox is going to jump in, I suppose, and remind us all what a big fucking hoax affordability is and how this is just a left-wing plot to make Donald Trump look like an ailing, aging, second-generation rich kid who was born with a silver spoon up his ass and got some sort of, I don't know, metal toxicity from it that has rotted his brain from the inside. Let's see.
Now brace yourself. Burrito
Brace yourself! Brace yourself!
Gate has reached the bottom line.
If you haven't yet heard the lore, all you need to know is that the liberal media is now using an online debate about the great $20 burrito.
How dare they?
Which we call a bougie Chipotle delivery.
Holy shit. Welcome to Fox News referring to a Chipotle burrito as bougie. As an internalized flip of what would be leftist class politics as a way to shut people down. How dare you, you rich asshole who can afford a Chipotle burrito, bitch about how much it costs. You bougie asshole. The bourgeoisie. Finally, Fox is coming for the bourgeoisie.
To claim a mega civil war is a brewing.
The left would love that to be true.
I gotta break it to you guys. We kind of don't give a fuck why you guys are fighting amongst yourself. We're kind of amazed it doesn't happen more often. It doesn't keep us up at all. We kind of, we think it's hilarious when it happens, but we have, maybe this is the first time they're experiencing this. We have on my side of the aisle, things we actually love, real things, not just our family and friends, of course, and our careers and our arts and our hobbies and our lives, but we also love our causes. We don't just look at them as sort of like dunking opportunities to shit on other people or prove that we're better. Now, I'm sure there are those among us that do that, but I would call them the hashtag faux-gressives, and we deal with them when we have to. But we don't stay awake at night waiting for something to love so desperately that we're like, oh, thank God they're fighting. We just think it's funny, and we're kind of watching with a little bit of interest to see if you actually learn the lesson of the thing itself, which is maybe don't back a second-generation rich kid who thinks affordability is a hoax and a word nobody ever uses, and that it was concocted while saying things like mutilization and like I don't know, whatever the word he said, finalization the other day.
But allow us to tear open your door-dashed steak fat wrap with a saucy little reality check. The socialists and
oh boy, it's a socialist burrito.
Their Democrat minions are the ones who need to be answering for the big burrito debacle of 2026. The ones who claim to be for the working class. But
wait, please tell me that they're going to lay the cost of a burrito on a living wage. You're the assholes who want people to be able to pay their bills when they work at Chipotle. This is your fucking fault.
Hate the job creators of America.
Huh?
They're tired of a situation where 60% of our people live in paycheck to paycheck, where our kids are likely to have a lower standard of living than they do, while the very richest people in America are getting richer.
If you believe like me that you ought to be able to afford your groceries, if you believe like me that you ought to be able to afford your home, I hope that you'll join this movement now.
We're trying to.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't understand it. It's in Russian. Does anybody speak Russian? 1950s Russian. Anybody?
To pass transformative reforms to create an economy that will work for the working.
All reforms would be transformative. It's just a it's where the form part fits in. It's anyways, okay. Or it's transformative change, I think, instead of reforms. But then whatever.
Class. When I see the people of my generation, my friends, they feel like they can't afford to have a family anymore because the prices have skyrocketed.
By the way, it was a Fox Business video I didn't even get to yesterday, talking about how the median age for home buying is age 40 now, which is the highest it's been in, since the Dust Bowl or some shit. So obviously, the feeling these kids have is genuine. I know that's a word that nobody at Fox actually understands. I'm gonna have to come up with another. I'm gonna have to dumb this down. It's like real. It's getting fucking real.
Rocketed so much. New York City has become such a playground for the rich that young people, they feel like they can't live here and have babies anymore.
So this is the height of hypocrisy for several reasons.
Okay. First of all, having babies is free. Some people have them by accident. And when did we start taxing orgasms?
One, that last guy there is the prime example. That's New York City DSA co-chair Gustavo Gordillo. He wants to eat the rich, yet he's living it up in a $1.5 million Brooklyn home bought for him by, you guessed it, mommy and daddy. This is just one of the...
Right, okay. Yeah, sure, fine. He's full of shit and blah, blah, blah. You do realize you voted for Donald Trump as an example of the alpha male working man bootstrapping generation of tough guy intellectuals. Sorry, what the fuck are you talking about? Secondly, that doesn't say anything about the people he's speaking on behalf of. Yes, he's a rich asshole. Sure. Yes, he lives in that. Maybe he's doing this out of performative guilt. Who gives a shit? The point is, what he's referencing is still true. And if it ain't, make your case.
Many socialists telling you to punish the wealthy into oblivion, all the while they're discreetly living the high life.
And the
Well, also, real quick, why is it that the Fox business crowd believes, just like Gustavo Gordillo believes, that the only way out of this mess is to punish the rich? Donald Trump said he was going to bring down prices. He was going to make homes affordable again. Now, he didn't sign the housing bill out of spite because he's a dick, which he never, by the way, championed in the first place. This was a bill that passed without any input from him, which is why it ended up passing in a bipartisan fashion. Because, again, the more real the circumstance gets, the more Republicans, by and large, end up acting like Democrats. And the more bipartisan shit actually gets passed, because when you're confronted with a fucking tornado or a flood or a financial crisis or a direction of the country that's going to create increasing damage, the answer to it, like how to solve it, the solution to the problems, get really fucking narrow. Your choices narrow. When you're in a Titanic situation, your choices end up being try to get in a lifeboat, jump for it, hope you land on a door, or go down with the ship. See what I mean? Like the idea of like, maybe I should have chosen a better hobby. That jettisoned when the ship set sail. You understand? Like when shit gets bad, there's only 3 or 4 things you can actually do that will have an impact. Even if it's, fuck it, I'll just let it eat me. Like that's, it gets really narrow. But please tell us how this guy isn't. Every criticism you have about this guy isn't true about Donald Trump in spades.
Second reason we're calling out this burrito hypocrisy: the American dream is not about obtaining the luxuries that influencers flaunt across social media.
Holy shit. So a burrito is an influencer luxury. What the? We've all seen these influencers leaning up against fucking rented Ferraris and Lambos and being in rented, like, or Airbnb mansions and pretending they live there or whatever. Not one of them is like, and I got 2 extra packets of sauce from Chipotle. What the ever-loving fuck?
Gone are the days of cooking at home and trying to save a penny or a dollar.
Holy shit, you lazy sons of bitches. And again, real quick, a lot of them do. Yeah, a lot of them do cook at home. I cook at home. A lot of Gen Zers cook at home. There's a whole movement about it. But when you're at work and your options are limited and you can't go all the way home, cook yourself a meal, and then come back to work in your 45-minute lunch hour, you idiot. The people tend to order food, and it used to be reasonably affordable as a trade-off for that hour off from work. This is enough food where that paid hour that I have as a lunch break doesn't literally take the wage of that entire hour or into the next hour to pay for what I ate.
Socialists want young voters to think that if you're struggling to pay for your morning ginormous Starbucks,
fuck you, lady.
Afternoon.
No. They don't. There's no they in this, dipshit. This was a Republican post about burritos. This was not a bunch of fucking lefties, like latte lefties or Jimmy Dore, these millionaire Marxist pricks. This was a maggot online.
Super salad from Sweet Green. Nightly martinis at some swank-ass cocktail bar, followed by late-night food delivery. You're a victim of...
God damn. The fucking venom. Spendaholics, socialism. Bitch, this was a maggot. Hold on. Real quick. Let me see if I can find it. One moment, please. There we go. Yeah, Andrew Colvett from fucking Turning Points USA posted this. One of Candace Owens' regular targets in the ongoing Charlie Kirk murder mini-series that's going on the right. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I'll find it. The viral tweet that set off the discourse about $20 burritos. Here's the truth about inflation. Americans are angry because everyday goods are costing more, are much more expensive, and politicians think they should stop whining. Not just politicians. Asshole hosts on Fox Business apparently are in the business now of telling young people who they need to court in theory to get out in the midterms because this is a leverage generation to help them get elected in going forward. Maybe I would remember this if I was a young voter right now and I was, like 18, 19, 20 years old. And I was like, you said what now? That would basically make me check the other box for the foreseeable future. But this was Andrew fucking Colvett from TPUSA. One of our TPUSA college students gave me his take on affordability. And this is from their constituents. This is guy listening to somebody who was in the audience at TPUSA. A burrito shouldn't cost $20. And also, all right, I guess the assumption is that it was it's Chipotle because that was the chain that they were talking about. But just on the ingredients, if you're eating something that isn't fucking Taco Bell, which is by and large cat food for humans, a uh, co- this was not part of, like, Chipotle wasn't in the tweet. Maybe it was in the follow-ups or something like that, but it wasn't what started it. It wasn't like a Chipotle burrito shouldn't cost $20. Fox picked this up because they were trying to go to the high end, throw the most shit on it, and try to get to that number so that they could shame everybody into on their side, their voters, maggots. They're not telling this story to shame us. They're not telling this story to fuck with Democratic voters. They're scared shitless. Sorry, my green screen. I don't know that my green screen is opening on the bottom. I think it's, what is this guy? Hold on. I think it's what's happening over here? I don't think it's, I think it's just a shiny part of I think it's the light. Hold on. See if this does it. Yeah, see I think it's just a shiny part of the light. There you go. I'm trying, I don't know why that would be the thing. It's just getting a little sliver. I apologize for that. I'm, bit by bit. I got to move the whole thing this way is what I'm going to have to do. God damn it. It's always something. All right. So, the they're just trying to find a way to here's how you motivate a young TPUSA maggot to get back in line and vote for Trump's bullshit. It moved when you accidentally kicked it. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Oops. Well, no, I hung the. I had to secure it on the wall up here. And I got to raise the top of this thing too. I hung it on the wall. Why is this? And that's the other thing. Hold on. Now you've got me stuck on that. But the one way that they can, the one way you motivate maggots, that you have to motivate maggots at this point is, yeah, that's what it is, I think. There we go. I'm moving myself around. There you go. And then I take this and then whee, so much better. Okay. And then in theory, if I go back way over here, I can point at this. There you go. So the way you motivate a maggot right now, you're not going to do it with actual policy. They don't like the Iran war. They don't like the support of Netanyahu, and every id like move that he makes. They don't like the Epstein file stuff, obviously. They don't like the affordability hoax idea. It doesn't sell well with that crowd. So what do you do? What do you do? You go, if you bitch about this, you're basically on the other side. You're on the other team now. You're aiding and abetting the enemy. Yeah, 1590 5909 Carlsman. That's what I'm working on. This is a temporary one that I have up. It's very big, but it needs to be obviously bigger. I'm working on it. I really am. I think, well, you know what this is? I think this might be a. There you go. Oh, yeah, see, there's the edge of it. And then it's thin and then slide down like this. Look at all this shit on my desk. I work for a living. God damn it. All right. So, here we go. Whee. And then, no, but then I don't, I think, oh, I know what happened. My desk, I lifted my desk up. I can't believe it took me this long to figure it out. So I've been wiring under the desk and I lifted it's a standing desk and I lifted it higher so that I could get underneath it and I didn't put it back down to its stand. Like, here, I'll show you. Hold on to something. Grab hold of something, will you? Yeah, there you go. Whoops, there you go. It it went up a little bit. Yeah, well, and now my monitor's gonna get knocked over. Son of a bitch. I'm fine. I'm fine. How are you? Um, there we go. It's okay. And I'm all right. I'm gonna be okay. It's okay. We're fine. Now at least I have a little more headroom. Not quite where I am yet, but if I go back far enough, um, son of a. And then I've got to, zoom all the way out. And then I got to take this up. And then I'm going to raise this thing up. And then I got to squeeze this thing in. See, that's the problem is I got to go to the side over here. Son of a, and if I quit it, hold it. Because the angle, I'm working on it, you guys. Here we go. And then we take this and then nutchuck. There we go. And then, whoops. And then I can slide myself over. And then it's a little better. Okay. It's always something. Meow. There we go. And then we go back to here. And we go back to this. 1 second. And I'm going to have to change it on the other screen. I just know it now because I moved everything around and you guys made me do it. Okay. I'm working on everything and you guys make me mess with everything. And then I get in big trouble and then everything looks all wonky. But that's what it's supposed to do. It's okay. All right. Now we're better. Yeah. So I lifted, I was crawling around on the desk and it's got a little standing thing on it, which I never use because I always use it in the up. I don't know why I got the moving one. It was a gift, but I don't know why I needed the moving one. I was like, I will move it up when I'm working on the show and then I'll put it down when I'm working at the desk. No, that's not what happens at all. I just end up working standing up all day. So I think we're now look at that. Look, I can touch I'm out of the top of the screen. I finally, okay, good. I'm sorry I'm making you dizzy. Hang on tight. We'll be okay. Now, where wasn't I? So when maggots try to motivate, in especially right now. I mean, this is different than past Republican administrations in one particular way, in that Fox News cannot motivate maggots with the truth right now. They can't. It's why we get maggots in the chat, even the ones posing as fucking socialists or what have you. Some people are coming in late. My mic gets turned on eventually. I swear to God. Yeah, the audio was weird. Oh, that's odd. Yeah, refresh if the audio. Well, you wouldn't hear me saying that. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. All right. So, maggots in general, especially Fox News, they can only motivate it by going, if you disagree with the president, the terrorists win. They're going back to the Bush playbook. Okay. What's that in my Speedo? Do I have anything in my Speedo? I'm wearing jeans today. Who knows what kind of underwear? Look, maybe we talk about this when I get 1 million subscribers, but I'm not even going to discuss it. All right. How'd you watch? Oh, see what I told you? And then, hold on. Screw it. Like, quit it. Come here, you. There we go. And then hold on. There we go. It's very hard to grab hold of some of these things when you, there you go. Oh, there we go. That's much better. It's such a challenge for myself. All right, at least that's fixed temporarily. Hi, there we go. Now I'm much bigger. It shrunk me on the vertical though by accident. I gotta fix that too. It's always something. Okay, here we go. Hi, Instagram people. Thanks for putting up with this. Hello. So up here, so the spendaholic socialism thing is a way of shaming their own voters by saying if you disagree with the president, the terrorists win. That's what they're happening about. Like if you disagree with the president and you pretend, if you think affordability's an actual crisis, then you're with the socialists.
Republican policies. That is a whole lot of hot garbage.
Oh, damn.
But
by the way, that's how I would also describe a Chipotle burrito. Not a fan. I don't like just not.
Somehow people are gobbling it up.
Bank of America.
Somehow people are gobbling it up. See what she did there? Except they can't afford to.
Just served up the data. Gen Z has the lowest savings to spending ratio of any generation, meaning they're not positioned to.
Fuck you. That's because stuff costs more. No. You have to do savings and spending to earning ratio. You have to pair them on that.
Buy homes, invest, secure the American dream.
The costs are up. That's the fucking point. Yes, YouTube is definitely hiding me, so hit the like, share the show.
And yet, they can't stop buying the little treats. Things Democrats say they should be able to easily afford in early life.
Discretionary spending has strengthened across beauty, jewelry, coffee, and travel, consistent with the little treat economy. The little treat economy. Strengthened. So you're going to give me a percentage? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to give me it used to be 7% and it's double to 14%. 14% of what? $3?
Gratification products like beauty, jewelry, coffee, and travel.
And guess what? Those little treats, that's capitalism, baby.
Yikes. Oh my God. I mean, at this time, you guys really do need to try harder. That's capitalism, baby.
For more, let's bring in former Utah Congressman and Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz, along with Unleash Prosperity co-founder and America First Policy Institute
Finally, people with their pulse on how Gen Z is feeling.
Senior Fellow Steve Moore. Gentlemen, a pleasure always. Jason, to you first on this. That is what these...
Hey, don't even start on the lefty socialist blah blah blah. This is maggots complaining.
Socialists are peddling.
What the socialists are peddling. Fuck you, lady. Deal with your own house. It's on fire.
And the people to whom they're peddling it, it doesn't match up because all of the little treats and big treats.
Nope. That's why that's where the little treat economy comes from. Anybody who's poor knows it. My grandmother used to take us to this general store and we get one piece of fucking candy and it was a big fucking deal. That's what you do when you can't afford to go to the movies. When you can't afford to do the bigger shit, you buy little things. And they're so small, they don't stack into shit. Fuck you, lady.
The young people are enjoying will disappear, poof, if socialists ever gain power.
Okay. I know why the DSA crowd thinks socialism is going to be the answer to this situation. But what I really see here, beyond a panic and attack on the rise of socialism, because what they really mean is if everybody has a social safety net, they might, if anybody gets elbow room, we might have to compete with them, which is why the Trumps of the world hate it, because if everybody got an equal shot, Don and Eric would never ever be in the position that they were in. They'd have been eaten alive by competition a long time ago. And that's capitalism, baby. But again, this is about maggots. This is not even about the appeal of socialism to a TPUSA member. Let's be real clear about that. This has nothing to do with the argument the DSA is making, you fucking twit. This is about a maggot fan of Donald Trump, a TPUSA, a young person who is on board with TPUSA, the organization that Charlie Kirk started with Candace Owens and all these other people, coming to one of the current leaders and going, what the fuck, dude? That I guarantee that person is not looking for the solution to quote unquote be socialist, asshole. They thought Donald Trump was actually going to handle this. That's where their WTF comes from.
Yeah, they think we're just one good tax increase away from prosperity in this country. We just need.
Fuck you, dude. This isn't about us. This is not about our arguments. This is not about a wealth tax. This is not about DSA. This is not about 5% wealth tax on California billionaires. This isn't about tax the data centers and the churches and all that shit. This is about your guys going, I thought I voted for this dude because he was going to make shit a lot better very quickly. And it's gotten a lot worse very quickly.
More government. Never mind that if you take state and local government, add it into the federal government spending, about 38% of every dollar spent in this country is spent by government. So why they think that more government, more control.
Yeah, they're not. Straw man. Straw man, bullshit. No. The cost of the ingredients in that burrito that matter insofar as what's impacting this young person, besides the cost of gas, I suppose, to get to and from Chipotle, or the driver if they have it someone deliver it for everyone in the office because they all pool together, which happens as well, or on campus, I guess, where this TPUSA kid was. The cost of the ingredients in that have gone up for a myriad of Trump-related reasons. Tariffs being one, like adversarial relationships with our nearest trade partners, especially Mexico, which has a lot of foodstuffs, not just that are in burritos, but certainly avocados would be a big part of that, I'm guessing, lettuce and other things. But the paper, the foil it's in, those kind of things, if you're in a tariff war, you're going to drive up the cost of those things beyond the processing cost. And then don't even get me fucking started on the elimination of farm workers and laborers who you guys benefited from them artificially bringing down the cost of goods.
More socialism, more communism would be the solution. It just baffles me. But they do.
Yeah, it baffles me why you think this is a defense of Donald Trump, asshole. Amongst maggots. I'm not going to let this go. I'm not going to let this go. You don't get to lay this off on anybody else. This is your fucking mess. Grab a broom. And then
You forget the basic economics that if you spend $2 a day buying a Coke Zero, that's over $700.
why the fuck would a Coke Zero cost $2? You dumb motherfucker. I can't. All right. This is holy shit. Yes, compounding inflation and compounding costs that have increased dramatically over the last year is a part of this too. Sorry, you have a fuck me, a $2 Coke Zero. Yeah, that too. Put that next to the fucking burrito as reasons why affordability is not a hoax.
And before taxes. And so, you're up.
Holy shit. Yeah, it's $2 for taxes.
For $1,000 just on the Coca-Cola purchase daily. And so the idea that they learned the basic economics of saving.
First of all, asshole, eat shit. More young people are going to Costco and again, grouping together at colleges to pay for a lot of that stuff and sharing it. So, I don't know, including the TPUSA kids.
And then spending later on, it just baffles them. They don't get it. They don't understand it.
And Steve, the point is not don't enjoy the fruit of what the economy offers.
Yeah, the fruit of what now do the price of fruit, you fuck.
Point is, if you think socialism's the answer,
No. Nope. You can't. No, this isn't about people who think socialism is the answer. Fuck you again. This is very specifically amongst voters and supporters who thought Donald Trump was the answer, and they seem confused that a 6-time bankrupt faux billionaire game show host dickhead who didn't even write his own fucking book or any of them. I think, what is it, 3 books out now? Never wrote a stitch of any of them. Doesn't even write his own fucking truth sinkhole posts. That liar, that grifter, that gamesman, that fucking carnival barking dickhead might not know what the fuck he's doing.
You're cutting down the tree, the fruit goes away, right?
Fucking George Washington.
Understand where the good things come from.
That's right. That's what kids today, man. They don't understand where the good things come from. Well, in terms of cheap burritos, used to come by and large from cheap immigrant labor and a lack of tariff wars. And of course, a lack of wars in the Middle East that affected 20% of global fuel supplies. But keep trying. You know what? I take it back. I think this is working. I think if I was that kid who talked to the TP to Colbert and I was watching it like, oh, phew. Okay, I feel much better. You know what? You're right.
In how good decision making helps you get more of them, not socialism.
Oh, good decision making. Like not voting for a fucking con man, not voting for a second generation rich kid with dementia and thinking he's a man of the people, thinking that he's a good Christian when he says God and religion and he can't even say Jesus without coughing.
Well, there's so much
Motherfucker. Yeah, these guys.
to say here, and I agree with everything that Jason just said.
Right, or you wouldn't be allowed on the program.
I would just add a couple of things. First, when they talk about, well, we'll
Ooh, whoa. Sorry, they?
just tax the rich in New York. Brian, what rich are they talking about? They're leaving, and they're going to Florida, and they're going to Texas, and they're going to Tennessee.
Hey, fuckwad. The TPUSA kid wasn't in New York. The person who said this was like in a fucking flyover state. They might have even been in like North Texas. It was at a TPUSA event. Wasn't it a fucking drum circle in fucking Soho?
The numbers get bigger and bigger, so they're going to soon find that the people, the hens that they want to pluck the feathers out of aren't going to be there any longer. Second of all, when they talk, well, 60% of Americans are living to paycheck. Well, that's the way it's been always in America. I mean, people do live. I live paycheck to paycheck most of my life, Brian. I'm doing a little better now, but that's just America. But
yeah, here's the issue though. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, quote unquote, because you want to do stuff, and you're like, hey, I might not be able to go out this weekend and party because I'm living paycheck to paycheck. That is different from they're living from paycheck to paycheck and they're not sure they can afford gas. You see the difference? That's that when the basics start going up in prices, that's why they're bitching. You fucking tool.
One last point I would add. If it's for affordability the American people want, and they do, they're saying that in the polls.
Right, but only because they're lazy socialists.
Well, then why would you live in a blue state? Jason, you're there from
well, because there's a bigger social safety net and a better support system all around. There's public transportation. By and large, there's better public schools. All the things you do get from government spending, you get more of it in a blue state and in a blue city. So even though the cost of living is higher, your income is slightly higher because the chances of you having something closer to a living wage is way closer than, say, Mississippi, Louisiana, some shit like that. Even though the cost of things is higher in those areas, the benefits that you get from the infrastructure around you and how it's spent by the people that you elect is higher as well.
Utah. Utah's a low-cost state, so it's an affordable.
It's also a low population state.
New York, California, where I am right now, Illinois, where I'm from, those are high-cost states. So why would we put those people in charge of the affordability crisis when they caused it?
Hi, asshole. First of all, they didn't. COVID caused supply shock. There was no money printer go burr. Forbes has been pushing that horse shit for a long time, and I'm going to curb stomp that dipshit argument every time I hear it. There was no way you have a $20 trillion hole blown in the economy by COVID, and you patch it with $6 trillion. Doesn't happen. 20 does not go into 6 the way 6 goes into 20. Sorry, fuck off. But again, these people aren't talking about like we're going to vote Republicans, or we're going to vote like Democrats in and vote Republicans out and go socialist. This is not who is making this argument. That's why it's a maggot fight.
Yep.
Yep, sure. Derp.
So, Steve, let's
Look at this. Look at this. I mean, come on now. Dems sow discontent between working class and the GOP. Dems are doing it. We're sowing discontent between the working class and the GOP. Not the actions of Donald Trump, not him fucking gold leafing fucking horses in Washington, D.C., wasting millions on no bid contracts on the fucking reflecting pool and screwing it up, putting his fucking name in the new helipad and trying to build himself a fucking ballroom. We are sowing discontent. We're making the poor and the working class get upset with the GOP. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. I didn't mean to sow discontent. I was trying to make them recognize what you guys are really like and develop genuine contempt. Discontent sounds too temporary for me. I want them to see who you fuckers are.
Stay on this in terms of affordability or what we can't afford as a nation. The U.S.
As a nation.
Today hit $40 trillion.
That's right. And Donald Trump is singularly responsible for whatever, a little over 25% of it, right? Almost 30% of it.
For the first time, months earlier than expected.
Months earlier than expected. By the way, I'd like to remind everybody, does anyone remember how much they lifted the debt ceiling in the big bullshit bill last year? Anybody? How much funny money Donald Trump got to play with? $5 trillion. All that shit about, the debt ceiling and pushing it and not wanting to pay for all the stuff that Bush did and Obama saying we can't. The reason why, everybody's like, oh my God, the debt went up under Obama because he stopped doing supplementals and put the Iraq war in the real budget where the real costs were. Admitting the money that was being spent is suddenly on his fucking tab. And still, by the way, helping us recover from 2008, which I forget who was president in 2008. Someone in the chat will have to remind me.
This was on the same day that the Treasury Department, Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, said it would ramp up bond purchases of longer-term treasuries.
Yeah, this sounds great. Yeah. And what's the answer? Socialism? To
lower the yield, which had gotten on the 30-year, the highest in almost 2 decades.
That's weird. Was it the highest in almost 2 decades in the last year of Biden? Where was the deficit headed when he left office? What was inflation at when he left office?
So much for the market setting those rates. But I will argue, Steve, this is just about a supply of bonds.
That's all it is. It's a supply and demand thing. It's classic economics. The people just want more debt, and it's up to us to make sure they have an opportunity to buy that debt at the highest interest rate possible.
It is coming into the market more.
That's right. Yeah. It's a you know what it is? It's a freedom ejaculation. That's what's happening.
Borrowing from AI companies, but also a profligate government.
Oh boy. Back up real quick. A what kind of government? Who's in charge of all 3 branches right now? Anybody? All right.
But also a profligate government and a bunch of politicians who can't, in good times, avoid running a $2 trillion deficit, which...
Sorry, who would that be? Sorry, do Dems have veto power over any aspect of the budget? For real? Look at the big smile on Bessent's face. You know why? Because this guy makes his money manipulating currency. And he knows how to make money. If it loses value or gains value, it doesn't fucking matter. It affects real people's lives. It affects the average person's buying power. But he's not looking at the price at the pump. That's noise to him. He's looking at the price of a barrel of oil, and he can, again, leverage up or down. That's why he's got a big fucking smile on his face.
Is what we're running. And
again, used to work for George Soros. So just throwing that out there, maggots. Your dude hired a guy who used to work for George Soros, who the lesson he took away was, do you have any idea how much money you can make fucking with a country's economy? And now he's the Treasury Secretary. Just for the record.
our interest on our debt so far in 10 months this fiscal year is $1.17 trillion. That's up 15.5% from a year ago. It is about...
Well, who was president a year ago? Joe Biden quit. Oh, right.
Supply, and people who are willing to lend to us are...
That's what it is. They're willing to lend. They just don't have the opportunity.
Demanding higher rates because there's no guarantee that we can stop spending like we're drunk.
First of all, I'm not convinced you're not, ma'am. Also, big bullshit bill, $5 trillion. Fucking hell.
So a couple of reactions to this. Number one, of course you're right. And everyone knows, everyone watching the show is.
Well, apparently not. Certainly Donald Trump doesn't. He's gold leafing horses.
Knows that we're spending way too much money. When I first came to Washington in the 80s, early 80s, we had $1 trillion budget. Now we're up to Jason, $8 trillion or something. And they just keep spending more and more. And both parties do it.
Yeah, both parties do it. Republicans do it a lot more. And the last person to have a surplus was a Democrat. And the only ones that get close to it or actually bring it down a meaningful amount, also Democrats.
The single most important thing we could do to make to make food and everything else more affordable and to make the country richer is to cut government spending.
Okay, sorry. How does cutting government spending make the ingredients in a Chipotle burrito cheaper when the specific reason for them being more expensive is directly related to an artificial choking of supply and a steady demand? People aren't eating more burritos no matter how much the price goes up. That's not what's driving the cost up. The cost is being driven up by Trump's blowing off of the USMCA, attacking Mexico and Canada, and the ingredients in the United States that are grown here becoming more expensive. And there was another factor. You know what? I almost forgot. I beg your pardon. I almost forgot. There is another reason why prices have gone up. Namely, the FDA and the USDA under this president blowing off any preparation for pathogens, parasites, and diseases in our food supply. So much so that they're having to cull entire crops or stop stuff at the border after the fact, and people have gotten sick and that kind of stuff. So that drives the price up as well. You don't think the insurance payments on people who have, gotten cyclosporiasis hasn't raised the cost of takeout?
In favor of right now, Jason, let's just cut every government program by 15%.
That would have zero impact. Zero. None of these things are more expensive because of the cost of the purchase power of the government right now. The government is not buying up all the burritos, and therefore they're a new competition with the consumer, and the consumer price has gone up because the government is buying fucking burritos in bulk.
Let's do it. They can live with 85 cents on the dollar. We don't have to spend $8 trillion. We can do everything we need to in Washington with $6 or $7 trillion, not $8 trillion.
Well, okay, so Jason, that's Steve's idea. I like Steve's idea. I don't think there's a person in Washington. Well, there's maybe a few, but there's not enough to get it passed who are going to vote for it. We kind of tried this with.
Sorry, real quick. $1 trillion military budget. And they want to double it. They want to double it in 3 years. They want it $2 trillion by the time Trump leaves office. They want it 1.5 this year. What are you talking about? Especially considering the direction of the Ukraine war there's an obvious recognition that inexpensive tools are more effective in modern warfare than giant fucking hypersonic missiles. You may need defenses against those kind of things, but ultimately wars are going to be fought on a much smaller, tighter scale. And you're going to be up against somebody who's fighting on a much smaller, tighter scale. And their concept, correct me if I'm wrong, seems to be we have a military problem. Let's throw money at it. Yeah.
Doge, we made an effort. We got a
Doge, shut the fuck up.
little bit out.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Doge costs more than it saved. Never mind the damage it did to human beings.
Not enough. Jason, you've been
Not enough. Not at all.
there. You've been on the Hill. Do you have any confidence that at some point in the near term, the people in D.C. are going to start to bend that curve a little bit and the world's going to...
In the near term. Yes. If Democrats win in the fall, the budget that will go through will be smaller and more refined towards services and other stuff, and will not give, opportunities for Trump to have profligate spending on whatever his fucking pet projects around DC or mail order National Guards sent everywhere.
Maybe these guys aren't going to spend themselves into oblivion.
Whose guys? Which guys? You mean your guys?
No, I put it at zero. Look, since the 1972 Budget Act was passed, only one time did we have an annual budget that actually balanced. Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House, and Bill Clinton was the President of the United States. And since then, we have just spent and spent and spent. When I was first elected...
Well, also, again, the 90s were by and large a period of peace. But for George H.W. Bush's little mini Iraq war, one of the biggest reasons we've seen such an expansion in the debt was around Iraq and Afghanistan, which was intentional and stacked on top of, by the way, these no-bid contracts for companies like Halliburton that Cheney and Bush handed out to their buddies. And then you fuckers went and hired somebody to do the job that's doing the exact same thing, just with his own family.
In 2008, the debt was $8 trillion. I ran radio ads on it. Now, today, it passed $40 trillion. And you can't get there by continuing to tax and go after billionaires and millionaires. That bumper sticker.
Yeah, we haven't at all. There's no continuing to that. That doesn't exist.
Politics does not actually add up. There's nobody that has a plan that will actually make that work.
Yeah, I don't plan on making that work, but I do have a plan. You could bring down the national debt over time, treat it like a mortgage, tighten the fiscal belt, use the spending that we do have as efficiently as possible, and over time make a greater tip towards paying it off, pay a little bit more in principal, as it were, and then the buybacks and the reissuing of debt would be done at on a schedule instead of, oh shit, we need money. And so you have to hold to that.
You have to, as Steve Moore talks about time and time again, you got to grow the economy, but you have to cut spending.
By the way, it did. That's the other thing. That's the part these assholes never talk about. Is that the more debt we took on, the bigger the economy got. All right, all of these billionaires, all of them, including, and Steve Forbes knows this, they borrow money and leverage it to make more money. They always fucking do. That's how it works in the economy as well. It really does. The economy, obviously, because of Trump and because of the fucking Iraq war, there's this extra slice on top of it. But by and large, the general running of the government, beyond the big bullshit bill and the extra $2 trillion Trump added to it just for his own vanity, the normal budget, the function of the government and all that kind of stuff, the borrowing that has been done has basically tracked with a rise in the fucking GDP. You'll notice they'll bring up whatever the hold on, I'll look it up. So the national debt he was bringing up in 2008. Let's see, what was the U.S. GDP in 2008? Okay, yeah, national debt was let's see, GDP was $14 trillion. It's here you go. Yeah, and there's a GDP to give me a chart. Okay, this is this is a chart of the GDP of the U.S. The debt grows along with it because it is a leveraged aspect of the economy. Some of it's rolling debt, some of it's specific to emergencies, COVID, uh, and so it spikes or it strikes. But that is the GDP of the United States right there. And you notice it was kind of chugging along until that whatever, I want to say 1972, right around here, 72, 73. The GDP was just kind of chugging along a little bit flat. And then as soon as we were allowed to take on more debt, we also grew the GDP because, again, the social safety net, the substructure, is like benefits you give to workers. If your workers are more satisfied and they're happier and healthier and they like coming to work, they will be more productive and more efficient and all those kind of things, and the company will do better. That's pretty straightforward. The same thing has been true of the United States, by and large. It does need to come down, but if the GDP was your salary for the year, the gross domestic product is the money made, in the year by the United States, and the debt was your mortgage, and your mortgage was a little bit over your yearly salary, you wouldn't be panicking. And if your salary was going up and your mortgage kind of went with it, you'd eventually go, you know what, I'd like to taper off the top of that thing and let this grow without the debt part growing. That's where they think thhere they're going to grow their way out of it. This is what that's what they mean when they're talking about this. But the problem is the debt itself is more like a business expense than a mortgage. It's more like we borrow money as a rolling thing to pay employees until accounts receivable come in or we need new gear. And if we get the new gear, we can make more money and that kind of stuff. And so it tracks quite like right along with it, because it's the nature of kind of the managed inflation aspect of the economy. Ugh. And here's the thing. These fucking assholes know this. They know this. Steve Forbes is full of shit.
If you don't do both of those, Republicans have been good at cutting taxes.
Yeah, it's the only thing they do. Because they want the system, they want the social safety net to collapse. In many ways, I mean, part of the reason they're cutting taxes is because they want to give money back to their rich friends and shit like that. But the other reason is that they want to choke the fucking welfare state out of existence. They want to drown it in a bathtub. When Republicans say that you want a government so small you could drown it in a bathtub, that's what they're talking about. They're not talking about drowning the military. They're not talking about drowning the DOD or even the NIH or anything like that. They're talking about Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. They're talking about welfare.
They've been horrific in the spending department.
It's true.
They just have been bad. They've just been bad. That's just
no. They haven't been bad. I'm sorry, I didn't bring all the way. They haven't been bad. They're worse. Do you understand? As bad as they might feel Democrats are, at least what Democrats by and large are spending that money on when they get a chance is on the substructure, the foundation that allows people to risk more. That gap between FA and FO for the average citizen gets wider under Democrats and tighter under Republicans. And that's not an accident. That's not an accident. Democrats want to widen that gap so you can try. You can send your kid to college. You can expand your life. You can spend more of what you earn on your living as opposed to just making a living. Whereas Republicans need that gap to be as tight as possible so everybody's fucking afraid all the time.
Factual record. And until you pass a balanced budget.
Yes. Thank you. How the U.S. went into debt to expand the highway system, created millions of jobs, and expanded the economy hundreds of times. Suburbs, restaurants, travel cars. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. You go into debt to create something like that, like the highway system or dams or an electrical grid or the expansion of the internet or telephone lines, those kind of things, where that truly is a rising tide that lifts all boats. That is not some fucking trickle down bullshit story. It is a mechanic. You can trust the roads you're driving on and it doesn't destroy your car. You don't have to worry about, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to repair my car every 6 months because I'm driving on these shitty roads, right? There's a long form value of that. Exactly right, CSL. And that's why Joe Biden's passed an infrastructure act.
Amendment, I don't think we actually solved this problem.
Right. And with
somebody just said, let's sell California to Russia, Jupiter. First of all, they couldn't afford it. California's, let's see, it's California's the fourth largest economy in the world. How about this? California could buy Russia if it was for sale 8 times over. Maybe that's what we do. California should just buy Russia.
Respect to Larry Kudlow, he compares today back to the 1990s in terms of what we're seeing in the Treasury market with yields and in the bond market. But the difference is back then we had 60% gross federal debt as a percentage of GDP. Today it's double that. So the state of our nation fiscally, it's much more difficult for us to pay back the debt that we've taken on because those dopes in D.C. won't fix it.
Yeah, well, okay, good point. Won't. Democrats want to raise taxes, that's for sure, because that's one of the ways you pay off that debt. The other is you increase fees on certain things. Then you also have to allow for growth to expand that tax base beyond it. You could do a one-time wealth tax or whatever, but you'll cause an offshoring and a bunch of these people. I mean, Elon Musk is the richest man on earth between him and Larry Ellison back and forth. That they always like it matters. His salary is based on debt. The company pays him with debt. They take on debt and then they pay him that money. And that money he has is part of the debt of the company that he owns. So he doesn't actually have a salary. He's borrowing money from banks to eat and buy his shit and do his stuff or whatever. And it's money he owes back. So he can write off the interest. Even when they talk about we need to tax billionaires, what are you going to tax? The structure of how they make money is based on debt. And if you're going to set up a situation where you can tax the debt of billionaires, the fairness in our economy is such that you would have to tax the debt of everybody else too. Because they'd just be able to reject it. They'd take you to court and they'd win. You have to, you need you need somebody who can actually look at this for the corruption that it is. That's really a big part of it. Like that's not a matter of, whether somebody's taxed or not in this situation. That's just straight up gaming the system. That's just fucking corruption. We bought Alaska from Russia, Louisiana from France, Florida from Spain, and California, I think. Yeah. And again, our so many of our friends, California, it's clearly not an Irish word. And those that think Spanish is the indigenous language of South America and Central America, what continent is Spain on? What continent would that be? What part of the world are the Spanish from? All right. It is as far as English to Spanish as a colonizer language, I got news for you. Spanish won.
Jason.
Uh-huh. Anyways, next up. This
one big beautiful bill.
Oh, shut up. So this is, where is it? Now this relates to what I was saying about the burrito wars a little bit. That's right. Brazil does have Portuguese. Where's Portugal? All right. Get my point? All right, here we go. So, how do you solve a problem like Maria? She's not on here either. Agricultural Secretary sounds alarm over major shift in America's food supply. A major shift? Well, are people just not eating their vegetables? Are they going, they don't want farm fresh foods? They're going back to these processed things? Those darn GLP-1s are making people think they can eat burgers and fries again. You fucking, what? They're all eating those Swanson frozen dinners and putting money in Tucker Carlson's pocket again. The Agriculture Secretary sounds an alarm over a major shift in America's food supply. You don't say. If there's a shift, that's as recent as well. Yes, right. That would, I mean, that's why you would use the word shift. Well, let's see if Maria's gang wants to take a giant shift on the economy.
And historic cattle shortage driving beef prices higher. Data from the Agriculture Department showing the U.S. entered this year with 8 million fewer cattle than in 2019. Ground beef.
That's interesting. This year, 86.2 million cattle, down more than 8 million from 2019.
Beef prices up over 10% year over year.
Over 10%.
Joining me now, agriculture.
It's almost like it goes to 10% of the actual cattle costs. Almost like there's a 1-to-1 that beef prices, if you're not buying Wagyu, is pretty straightforward. Supply and demand.
Secretary Brooke Rollins. Secretary, thank you so much for being here this morning. Just
cattle shortage driving beef prices higher. Now, if you'll recall, Donald Trump's solution to this, anybody remember? Import beef from South America. Now, Biden ate all the cows. That's what it is. All those. He killed all the dairy cows with all the ice cream. He wore them out. One would think that if you were really going to solve this, especially with giant government action, which is what he was talking about, big socialist purchases of beef from our communist friends south of the border in these left-wing bearded countries with their military leaders, that you would buy the cattle, that you would, like a DPA, dude. I would recommend Defense Production Act. If they've been, cattle have been indirectly harmed by environmental stuff, there's no reason why the FEMA or budget could be applied, or a couple of things. And again, my good old friend, the general welfare, which the government is tasked with providing for, is that if you're hit by a big strike like that, I don't know, maybe don't buy the beef, buy the fucking cattle. Just maybe around the world, send a giant ship over, and wherever they've got a lot of cattle, just buy some from here, some from there, bring them back to the United States and get them fucking our cows and get to making other cows. That's one of the things about them, is that they, that when a daddy bull and a mommy cow fall in love, I don't know. I feel like I have to tell her this story.
I want to start by asking you what the Department of Agriculture is doing to bring beef prices down for Americans.
That's right. What are you going to do? Let's hear it. They got a plan. We're all excited about the plan. Here comes the plan. The plan is blame Biden, probably.
Well, first of all, Jackie, it's so great to be on with you again. Thank you so much for having me.
Is it great to be on when you're talking about this?
Listen, what we are facing in America today is the direct result of a war on cattle.
I'm sorry. Who was it? The Israelis or the Russians?
By the previous administration. Frankly, a war on agriculture and a war on farming in general.
What the fuck are you talking about?
When you've got a prior administration that is basically blaming cattle for their crazy climate agenda, then you have a real problem.
That's not why we're down 8 million cows at all. You know what it is, dum-dum? It's a rise in demand. Demand was actually going down for about 2 decades, and then in 2015, when the American Heart Association and the medical establishment figured out, I guess, that cholesterol was not a nutrient of concern or an enzyme of concern, whatever it was, and that eating fatty meats was not the cause of heart disease like it had been thought for a long time, and that actually, if you're going to consume a lot of protein, consuming a lot of fat with it is actually better. And so it was sort of contraindicated by a trend in beliefs that was based on something from 1960 and people who were selling graham crackers and fucking shredded wheat. And once that righted, people started eating meat again. And were picky about it. They wanted grass-fed beef. It's fucking everywhere. Have you noticed the growth in grass-fed beef over time? The demand has gone up so much, and the demand has gone up at least 10%. So the number of cows has come down, and there was not a response. There was a response, but it's a lagging response because the switch came so fast over the course of the last 10 years.
And you also you combine that with people are eating more beef today than ever before, which is actually really, really good news. Secretary Kennedy and I obviously been working on new dietary guidelines. We have big announcements coming up on new school lunches, and eating real food is right in the middle of all of it.
Right. And people are eating more beef than ever before, and it's more than 10%. So the fact that we're only down 10% is kind of amazing, considering it's a lag. Never mind again, grass-fed and the dairy aspect of it, shit like that.
And so while we're working on combining all of this, ensuring that our ranchers have what they need to continue to rebuild their herds. But listen, here's the good news. For the first time since 2018, we're now seeing a turn where the cattle numbers are now moving back up, where ranchers are retaining their heifers, their mama cows, how they breed their heifers.
Oh, good. At least I don't have to tell her the story.
Are retaining at a higher rate than they have now in years. So I think the administration, President Trump's.
What? Sorry. What were they selling? They're retaining their heifers? So they're not selling them. So that's driving demand up as well. I'm guessing that has to do again with grass-fed being a part of dairy consumption as well now.
Focus on our ranchers, on rural America, on rebuilding our food supply here continues to be a priority, and our ranchers are getting that message. Jackie, I think one really important point.
Again, this is so fucking stupid. There was a downturn in beef consumption for a long time because of the illusions around the dangers of red meat. Period. There was a belief system that red meat was the cause of all the other stuff. Back when people fucking smoked and did all kinds of other rank shit, they blamed red meat for it, largely because the tobacco companies didn't want the blame for everybody's shit health. For real. And so once smoking went away, and they're like, oh, wait a second. It's funny, but all those health problems we were associating with the food lifestyle that people had back then is actually not true. Yes, there's also some price fixing. That's a fact as well. But even still, the shock recovery, the shock shift. Yes, and obviously, thank you, Dr. 13. Clearly, the cattle mutilations by the aliens have increased as well.
Point that it needs to go stated is this. The first time in American history in 2023, we became a net food importer, meaning that the Biden administration's policies basically wrecked what we were doing in America, and we started.
No, it didn't, you asshole. fucking farming in the country and processing plants shut down during COVID. And the turnover was so quick and people went back to work so quickly that people started buying food. We had to bring it in because we couldn't ramp back up to regular production post COVID. Fuck off.
Import a lot more of our food.
Bullshit.
We cannot survive as a country, right? We will not know freedom unless we can feed and fuel ourselves. So the opportunity to change that trajectory, to work on that trend, and we're seeing that again for the first time in a number of years.
Also, by the way, you want to know one of the other reasons why cattle herds are going back up finally is because the people that work in the processing plants that are necessary for the slaughter and distribution of the meat from them are being deported. There aren't enough of them. The processing is slowed down so much, they're retaining their heifers, lady, because there's nobody to fucking get them to market.
Is really, really important.
The same exact thing, Secretary Rollins, happened under the Biden administration with its war on energy, and now the
war on energy. You're adorable.
Trump administration is having to, ramp up production again.
That's what it is. Yes, even though oil and gas production went up inexorably all the way from Obama when Biden was vice president. That was the shale oil revolution. You absolutely know that. The rise in oil production in the United States has been fucking marginal. Natural gas production is on the exact same arc it's been on since 2015.
We lost so much time and so much resources
because of COVID, shithead.
As a result of some of those policies.
Nope. Had nothing to do with the policies, lady. Nothing. Sorry, you can't blame the weatherman for the fucking tornado.
And I really see the two analogous, energy and the food supply as you're talking about it right now. But I also want to get to this. American ranchers raising concerns that demand for open land to build data centers is going to force them off their properties.
Uh-oh. Welcome to Strange Bedfellows. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Secretary, there is a need to be competitive in this space, obviously, but how will the administration help ranch owners keep their lands?
Well, I think that is a really important debate that's happening right now.
It's such an important debate. I don't want to get in the middle of it, though.
Thing about America, there's no doubt, and the president has been unequivocal in his message that
we got to beat China to AGI, which no one can control. We want AI that's out of control before China's AI gets out of control. Well, if it's out of control, who the fuck cares who started it? It's out of everyone's control. Oh, you.
We have to be able to continue to have the energy that we need. We've got to beat China and other foreign adversaries at the AI race in the data center.
Maybe we should package the cow farts and use the methane to power the data centers.
Are part of that, but the president has also been unequivocal in putting America.
You can't be unequivocal in everything, lady. There aren't an infinite amount of resources in the world. Stupid. You have to be. You can be unequivocal in one area, but it means you're going to be mitigatory in others. Like a fucking adult.
American landowners, American ranchers and farmers, and rural America first, as have
rural America, even people who live on giant ranches and don't grow shit.
Frankly, all the Republicans in Congress. We saw a lot of that in the One Big Beautiful Bill. The two are not
you didn't.
Mutually exclusive.
They have been.
You can have both. We just have to make sure that we're doing everything we can while we're building the data centers. America is a massive amount of land. You even have Elon Musk now talking about how we could potentially use space for these sorts of things.
Well, get to it.
We have to do that while protecting our great American farmland.
Wait a minute. I got a good idea. Cows in space. All right.
And I believe
maybe we could have ranches in space. Space ranch. We could have lab-grown meat in that's grown in space and then frozen in space. No one can hear you.
We will get there. This president has been really forward-leaning on both sides of it, probably perhaps.
Yeah, he's been really forward-leaning on both sides of it. Say that again, ma'am, if you would. What was that? What was that again?
We'll get there. This president has been really forward leaning on both sides of it, probably perhaps more than any president in our lifetimes.
So let me get this straight. There are two competing interests, and he's forward leaning on both sides of it. Anybody see a problem with that? Anybody recognize the inherent contradiction?
And we'll be able to check that box. The governors are really
Yeah, that's what it is. You know, he's rooting for both teams. Whichever wins, he'll check that box and say he was for the winner. That makes it easy.
important partner in it as well. I know Texas and other states are looking at this very closely.
Very closely. They're looking at it, and tomorrow they'll probably look at it again, and then over the weekend they'll stop looking at it. Maybe Monday they'll start looking at it again, and they'll give it a good looking at.
And we'll continue to lead on that from Washington.
Lead on both sides of that. We're gonna continue to lead on both sides of a contradicting issue. That's right.
Absolutely. Meantime, Secretary, you've been leading the USDA's Product of the USA pledge. This is a public awareness campaign meant to.
That's right. Spending. Remember that thing in Dave about we're spending money to make people happy about a car they already bought.
Promote meat, poultry, and egg producers here in the United States. More than 30 companies have signed.
Yeah. Sorry. We're doing their advertising for them.
Onto this campaign. Tell us a little bit more about.
So let me get this straight. A lot of these meat, poultry, and egg producers are signing on to a government program that gives them money or in the form of free marketing to promote their products, which there isn't enough of and everyone needs. What?
Well, back to our very first conversation, when we're talking about incentivizing our farmers and ranchers to stay on the land, to keep farming, to keep ranching, to build.
Sorry, they're not incentivized. Oh, right. Because you're on the other side, too, with the data centers who want to take their land. They might want to sell it and fuck off because of how you treat them in the big bullshit bill.
Their herds, incentivizing first-generation farmers and ranchers to get into the business. What a righteous way to make a living.
Sorry, then why aren't you doing why wouldn't you spend that money on Future Farmers of America or some shit like that? Why wouldn't you have vocational language and like mortgage deals for people who want to buy farmland and grow shit, as opposed to people who are already doing it, that are big agribusiness, by the way.
One of the most important things is for them to know that we have their back, that the consolidation of big.
They don't know that right now. Gee, I wonder why they feel that way.
Agriculture, that the foreign purchase by even some of our adversaries of some of our greatest American agricultural companies, it's time for a new day, putting America and American companies first. So Product of the USA, look for it on your shelves. It doesn't mean if you don't want to buy another,
Hey, asshole, if a Chinese company buys an egg producer that's in fucking Wyoming, it's a product of the USA. Those are American chickens squatting out American eggs on American dirt, eating American grain, but the profit all goes to China. You see how that works?
Pound of ground beef that may not be from the USA, that may be slightly cheaper. You're welcome to do that, but putting the
maybe slightly cheaper
product of our great American ranchers and farmers front and center, labeling it as such will continue. I think will do such good for our rural American and for our producers.
I think you're right. As a consumer, I always look for made in the USA on other products. I'll look for it at the grocery store too.
Really? You always look for it? Really? I'm going to go with never, for the record. That is absolute horseshit. Wherever she's ordering her food from or wherever she's getting it, wherever she shops, she's not going, that's a Mexican avocado. Fuck them. Bullshit.
Thank you so much, Secretary.
Gibberish. Okay, so anyways, obviously two great signs that America's economy is exactly where it needs to be, and we're just tired of winning. That's why everybody's so exhausted. You guys you're not overwhelmed by the flood of bullshit coming from the White House and the absolute madness of our current situation. That's not why you're exhausted at all. That's, oh my God. Thank you for the gifted memberships, you guys. Oh, that's incredible. Who did that? That's so lovely. Wait 1 second. I'm seeing those go by. Where it doesn't list it on my thing. Damn it. Thank you, 90 minutes. Okay. 7 p.m. I will reach 2 hours. I will get there. Thank you. I'm going to try and do 2 hours solid and then bug out so I don't keep everybody super late. CSL Andrea, did we see who who gave the gifted memberships were? That was lovely. I just see them streaming by and it's a glorious thing. Lovely. That was just wonderful. But I want you to feel like, let's see. Wasn't Twitch? No, it was in, it's on YouTube, I think. Yeah. Wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's a YouTube thing. It was at Peter. Okay, thank you, Peter. Yay! Thank you so much. There it is. Bless you. What a lovely thing. Thanks so much. And those members get to watch my stand-up show next Thursday, which, by the way, next week's Flapper show is on a Thursday night instead of Friday because I got a Nerd Halen show in, I think the first show's in Fresno Sunday, Sacramento. I think we're doing Sacramento, Santa Rosa, and then Fresno in those 3 days. 3 90-minute shows in a weekend. Testing my singing voice again. God damn it. So, all right. But what I was saying was, if I may, and I think I will, is that, sure, these stupid socialist TPUSA kids who all obviously turned into communists as soon as Charlie Kirk was killed by an Israeli, a Jewish space laser or whatever the fuck happened. Sure, that's terrible. And sure, the price of beef is high because it's too delicious and we can't not eat it. But at least the staples are okay, especially amongst the maggot faithful. They might not go to Cost Plus World Market because it's all highfalutin. They might not go to Target, as it were, because that's one of those little special whatever, the treat economy that they were shamed about on Fox News. But at least Walmart is safe. That's so you can count on Walmart is okay. Walmart shares sink 8% after slowest U.S. sales growth since 2020. Oh dear. Who was slowest growth since 2020? You have to go back to 2020 to get what was happening in 2020? Who was president in 2020? Shit. I need to have Wikipedia open at all times. I just gap all these things. I have memory hold so much of that shit. Walmart shares have gone down 8%. Boom, boom, boom. Walmart shares sink 8% after slowest growth since 2020. Thanks, Forbes. I wonder if Steve Forbes knows this. Walmart's stock on Thursday slid after the retailer reported its slowest U.S. sales growth in years, despite beating Wall Street's earnings expectation as its pharmacy business. Holy shit! As its pharmacy business took a hit amid federal negotiations that have cut drug prices. Right. Shares of Walmart dropped 7.3% to around 105 shortly after trading open Thursday, pacing the stock's largest intraday loss since May 21st. Walmart reported $187.9 billion in quarterly revenue and earnings per share of 81 cents, exceeding FactSet consensus estimates of 186 and 74, respectively, in the firm, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the retailer said U.S. comparable sales grew 2.6% through the quarter, offset by 0.8% headwind to its pharmacy business as federal negotiations on medications covered by Medicare, there you go, have lowered drug prices, marking the slowest quarterly sales growth since Q4 2020. That's right. And when do you think that whole Medicare negotiating the prices thing, when did that law get passed? And how long did it take to implement? Oh, it's probably in the big, beautiful bill, wasn't it? Democrats. All right. Oh, thank you, Andrea. Yeah, I have to post those. I'm terrible about it. Yeah. Since Q4 2020. That's ass. Chief Financial Officer John David Rainey told Bloomberg that drug negotiations impacted Walmart's business more than expected, and the issue will likely persist into next year. So sorry. Walmart's profiting on pharmaceuticals was the reason why they lost money. All right. Let's see. Here you go. This is Reuters. Here you go. Reuters had a little take on this as well. This guy looks very serious.
Shares of Walmart fell as much as 10% Thursday after it reported quarterly sales growth below analysts' expectations.
I've argued for quite some time that that's one of the essential problems I have with Wall Street in general. Is a company is growing, but it's not growing as fast, and therefore shares go down. That's the dividend crowd, and that includes, by the way, that's not just rich people. That's pension funds and the individual investor class that use E-Trade and stuff like that. They're the ones who jump around in this stuff.
An unusual shortfall for the company. Reuters correspondent Nicholas Brown reports on the retailer.
Walmart's sales grew only 2.6%, which is the slowest pace of growth in about 6 years for them.
Yes, back to a time when none of us can remember who was president.
It's the first time that they've failed to meet analyst estimates for their sales in about 5 years. So it's exceedingly rare for Walmart to miss.
The company said shoppers were likely being squeezed by high gasoline prices.
Oh, that's what it is. What caused that? Probably Joe Biden.
Raising concerns that pressure on U.S. consumers is growing.
Uh-oh.
The retailer did raise its annual sales and profit forecasts and said aggressive price cuts would boost demand later this year, but investors were unconvinced. Walmart.
What do you mean, Black Friday?
Shares, though, have more than doubled since the start of 2024, spurring debate about whether they are.
Walmart shares have grown since 2024. What happened in 2024? Oh, right. People started, it obviously didn't do it in 1 year. Basically from 2022 to 2024, the Robinhood investors jumped in. Retail investors, especially people who were taking their stimmy checks, people who were living at home, put it into Robinhood. That's where the retail investor explosion came from. You remember the meme stock stuff that we went through with AMC and GameStop?
Now overvalued.
Same people.
Some analysts and investors Reuters spoke to remain bullish on the stock. Bright spots in the quarter included the advertising business, whose sales jumped 43% year.
Great. The advertising on Walmart.com went up, but the actual goods they sell didn't. All right, cool. All right, now, Fox Business, I'm sure, look, we checked in with Reuters, but, Fox News has been nothing but, kind of rough news for the president. They've been turd polishing all afternoon. I think we'll be able to find a video at the very least where Fox can give some good news, and we'll especially do it with this is sarcasm, I apologize, with a thumbnail that makes everyone fall. Fuck me. That's Fox. What are you doing? We're in year 2 of the Trump administration, second shot at this stuff, and this is a thumbnail that the Fox Business folks put up. Look at this. Look at the little cliff over here. Good times. Hashtag winning. Interest rate shock. Arian warns America is about to get more expensive. Oh dear.
New York Times op-ed. America is about to get more expensive. That spells it out, doesn't it?
Well, it's funny that you're quoting the New York Times over there at Fox News. I thought they were fake news and they were the failing New York Times. But apparently they're not failing to have big typeface.
Allianz Chief Economic Advisor Mohammed El Erian wrote that. Mohammed, welcome back to the program. It's very good to see you, sir.
Is it? Since you're bringing him on for this?
Thanks for having me, Stuart.
I mean, I don't think it's his fault. And, you don't kill the messenger, but
Make your case, please, about why America is going to get more expensive.
We have higher interest rates. What's driving higher interest rate is a combination of a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is we're investing in our future. The capital markets are providing significant funding to tech companies invest.
Oh, by the way, they just opened up a new window wherein capital financing is going to explode in that area, and it's not just going to be in direct VC investment. They're tying it to basically. We'll talk about this on Friday tomorrow, but they're tying it to a sort of the mortgage-backed securities in the 70s that went from being like a $25 million experiment and doing it to like obviously billions and billions. And the credit, most people know about mortgage-backed securities because of the like credit default swaps and the pooling of shitty mortgages together that exploded. But the actual industry where that happened obviously grew like crazy. And even still, even as bad as 2008 was, the mortgage-backed securities market recovered and grew and is continuing to grow.
In productivity enhancing. The bad thing is we have a fiscal situation that's quite stretched. Now, when interest rates go up on government debt, they pull other interest rates higher. Mortgage rates are going to go higher.
Also, by the way, can I say real quick, why? Right? If you have good credit, your interest rate should be, relatively steady. If you have bad credit or you're concerned about that credit, then people will want a higher interest rate to lend you money. But the consumer and somebody buying a house, the measure of what they pay in interest rates shouldn't be based on the greater interest rate anyways. Right? That's always been weird to me. Like it's all tied together. If it goes up for one, it goes up for all is a bit curious. Because if you're going to get paid back and you can get money for it and you've got the money to loan, and if you raise your interest rate too high, people aren't borrowing it anyways. Like, why isn't there competition in that? Because there's effectively in the interest rate market, because of the Fed, the way it's done is, and this might be due to the fact that they had these mortgage-backed securities in the 70s that started this in some ways, that there's price fixing in the interest rate market. That in and of itself sounds a bit fucked. Yes? I mean, economically, I understand why they would do it this way. But at the same time, I feel like if somebody's like, I want to make money on this, I can't loan money at 7% to anybody because I got no takers. So, but I trust this person will pay me back, and I'll time it out over, at 3% or 4%, right? That makes sense. Sounds socialist. It's not. Yeah, there wouldn't be any money exchanging hands at all. It'd just be house making gulags.
Auto loans are going to go higher, and the loans that companies get are going to be more costly. So it is an interest rate shock. It's part of the journey to a better destination.
Also, real quick, there is also a big difference between, because the venture capitalist market for people investing in stuff, they're doing it for a piece of the company by and large, but also if they're doing it as a direct loan, they're not matching whatever the yield is expected. They're going to vary it. If they want a piece of it and they think it's going to grow, they'd rather get in with a sure thing 4% someplace than oh shit, I might get 7% for a few years, but then they'll never be able to pay it off and I'll be fucked.
But we've got to manage the journey better.
Now, the Treasury is going to buy long-term Treasury debt.
Yeah, that sounds totally awesome.
Year bonds, I understand. That's an attempt to lower the interest rate pressure. Will it work, and for how long will it work?
If it does.
It's temporary. This is known as Operation Twist. The Treasury goes out and targets 10-year and 30-year bonds. Why? Because they have a huge impact on mortgage rates and on affordability. But in order to pay for it, Stuart, they have to issue short-term debt. Now, what happens at the short end becomes an issue to keep an eye on because it can mess up the liquidity funding markets that are so critical. Look, the solution to what we're facing here is higher growth and fiscal consolidation. And the Treasury Secretary has said that the administration will be looking at some sort of fiscal consolidation going forward.
Yeah, they're going to be looking at it. Yeah. You know how they're going to look at it? I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. Spoiler alert. What they're going to do is spend like fucking crazy and then lay off the cuts and stuff to the Democrat that comes into office in 2028, in 2028. That's 2029, technically. They're going to leave it for the next administration to solve the same way Paulson and Bush left the problem for Obama to solve. They're going to dump it. They're going to play Santa Claus and let someone else be the Grinch. That's how. And you know what? We'll fix it. That's right. Dems will fix it. It'll suck, but we'll fix it because that's what we do. The only difference is this time, I think it's very important that Democrats remind everybody that that's what we're doing all the fucking time. And anything we put together as far as social programs and all that kind of stuff, we have to tout them like Trump's fucking helipad all the time.
When you say fiscal consolidation, does that mean spending cuts? Because if you ask a politician to cut spending...
Fuck you. Nope. No. You don't get to say politician right now when Republicans run the House, the Senate, and the presidency and have control of the Supreme Court. Nope. Politician, my ass.
He or she is not going to get elected.
Correct. And they need Congress
bullshit
to come together. Look, we've been living with high deficits and high debt for a long time, but it's the change that's problematic. So we got from 20 to 40 trillion in just 10 years.
Yeah.
Gee, who was president most of the time?
This fiscal year so far, our interest bill is 15% higher than a year ago. It already consumes 20% of tax revenue. So the thing to keep an eye on is not as much the levels, but the rate of change, because as you know, Stuart, that is what gets you at the end.
Do you think there's a possibility in the fairly near future of a real debt crisis?
I don't think there's a possibility of a debt crisis like we see in other countries, because the U.S. is, after all, the most dynamic entrepreneurial economy that issues the reserve currency. So we have a much longer runway for fiscal consolidation than.
Again, if you looked at salary to mortgage, GDP to national debt, the margin isn't that scary and they know it. And that's why they feel like they can play with it. Trump, and again, this is the same thing I was saying about the oil glut. The reason Trump felt like he could attack Iran is because he knew there was too much oil production. Everybody was telling him that. So even if the price started to go up, even if they choked off half of the traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz, and we're still only 1.8 million barrels a day like below demand. They knocked 11 million barrels offline, and we're only feeling, 2 of them. 2 million. Why? Because we were overproducing by about 9 million barrels, and that was increasing. And Trump intends to increase that, both here with Venezuela, getting all this oil back online. If Russia was still online and was selling oil and hadn't attacked Ukraine, the oil market would have collapsed.
Other countries.
It never would have recovered from fucking years ago. You could argue that to some degree, Russia attacked Ukraine and Trump attacked Iran to buoy oil prices for the next, I don't know, foreseeable future, 5 years maybe, to squeeze some extra money out of it.
But what I'm worried about is higher interest rates. You and I used to do these exercises in the past when you would look at all the uses of funds, all the sources of funds, and ask, do they equal each other? And the only way they equal each other right now is at higher interest rates. So I'm not worried as much as a debt crisis as I am about us coping with higher interest rates.
Which will raise the cost of the debt. And of course, Trump wants it to be zero so that he can refinance all of his fucking businesses and properties at zero or negative interest rates. That's why he wanted Powell out. And the funny thing is like, Warsh, his pick is basically doing the exact same thing Powell was doing. There has been zero difference in the material actions of the Fed from Powell to Warsh. But since Trump dumped his previous pick, which was Powell, and replaced him with a new pick of his own, he can't admit that the guy's just doing his fucking job. And the prevailing thought is that we are in a fiscal crisis caused by overprinting money, which is not the case at all. But they're all Volckerites. That's what they came up in. That's the lesson they learned from the 80s, was that money printer go brr and we're all fucked. And they don't factor in the reality of emergencies and the reality of the cost of the war, Iraq and Afghanistan specifically, because it grinded on a lot longer, and the cost of COVID, period. The cost of COVID was a real hit, and the money borrowed is not meant to be a regular thing. And the tapering of the things, the spending that was done to right us after COVID, will have a slow slope over time, because the recovery will be a slow slope over time. In the same way that, most of the time when there's a tornado or a flood or some shit happens, the news sees it and they see, like, oh, we're going to rebuild. And then the press moves on. So you kind of forget about it. But people are still rebuilding in a lot of these areas for years. That's the same thing. These kind of major incidents, 2008 and COVID especially, they take a period of time to recover from that is past the arc of interest in a lot of people's minds. Right? That's the issue. And the problem is that debt will happen if it happens under a Democrat, for example, in the case of Obama, even though he's fixing something that occurred under Bush, or that debt will happen under Biden when he's fixing the crisis that Trump helped exacerbate under COVID, and that was also just a naturally occurring problem, a devastating impact on the overall economy, that you have to spend money to save people, because if you give a shit about your own citizenry, that's what you're going to do. You're going to go into debt to do that. In the same way that if you don't borrow money to patch the hole, if your roof is torn off by a tornado and you don't borrow money to patch it, the rest of the house is fucked the next time it just rains. And that's the part about, like, we need government fiscal responsibility. It is fiscally responsible for the government to borrow money after an emergency to make sure the economy and the citizenry doesn't fucking collapse. What's not necessary is a $1 trillion military budget when wars are being won by like quadcopters carrying hand grenades. All right, we're going to raid Liberal Dan. Excellent. We're going to throw over to him. And I'm sorry I started a little bit late, but I'm glad you guys stuck with me, and I greatly appreciate it. Hit the like, share the show. Again, I'm going to hit this general welfare thing more and more, because again, as much as our DSA friends want to release every rapist in the country, and I've yet to figure out why, long term, that's their goal. One of the things I would like to point out is that a lot of the social programs we have in this country are not socialism, ladies and gentlemen, because they give people money to do with what they need. They don't create a government hospital where you have to go and it sucks, like, it's mid-century fucking Soviet Union. It's democratic taxation. It is what we lovingly refer to as taxation with representation. And when you elect people who actually give a shit about the citizenry, what they're going to do is focus on services, and they're going to focus on a safety net, and they're not going to guide you to where they want you to go. They're just going to allow you to have a bigger gap between fuck around and find out. Lord loves a working man. Don't trust Whitey. People be somebody. All right. Much love to you guys. Yeah, I had this. One of the great things about moving is that I've Summer boxed up a bunch of my t-shirts. She's like, "You don't wear these," and I was like, "I don't wear them because I can't find them," and she stored them for me. Wasn't that lovely? And so I was like, "There it is." I was like, every other day I'm picking up a shirt going, "There it is. There it is." The whole stack of "There it is" shirts. And this was one of my favorites. So anyways, from one jerk and another to you. Have a lovely night. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for Friday Eye. And there's a lot to talk about tomorrow. Boy, oh, Shevitz. Let me tell you something. Do I have this one? Nope, I don't think so. Not on this one. I'm gonna have to. I gotta put my where it is. Yes, it is. There I go. I have Electric Paradise in there. I feel like Eminem. It's like I wrote a song as a joke and it turned out to be a huge hit. And then I wrote this one and I was like, oops. Yeah! Oh yeah, I can hit those notes. It's called talent. I don't even know if my mic registers those notes in here. Rob Glenn tomorrow with us. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much again, Peter, for the memberships.
You move like lightning on my skin. A sacred equation
You're dreaming of sin.
All
right.
Found
my special purpose.
Cries out for fire.
Reflections of what?
Teach me not to feel. Pray in this nightmare won't show me what's real. Reach out to take your hand, maybe you'll understand. But you pull away in horror at the coldness of steel. Silver pulse, silent scream, static underneath the dream. Electric paradise. Talk to me, memories.
There it is. All right.
My future is the best I see. If this is life, why can't I feel the fall? Give me imperfection or nothing at all. Electric paradise. I see the cracks in time. Electric paradise. I am not a state of mind. Is it living to be buried alive? Electric paradise. Please tell me moving in circles time and again. Heartbeats in silence, no message to send. Just for one moment, just for one day. I know it was real if it all went away. I swear that I'm here. I look in your eyes. I want what's real, not photonic.
I mean, who sings photonic in a song? I mean, come on, people.
Living